So great to see you guys. We understand that the court case is ongoing for the Free to Be Church Collective. Can you give everyone a brief rundown of where they are at the moment, how the case is going, and the outcome that you're hoping for?
Right, I'm Andre Bay. I'm a pastor of a church up on the North Shore of Auckland, and I'm also on the board for Free to Be Church.
I'm Chris Baines. I'm a pastor of Community Bible Church in Wasford, North Auckland, and I'm a trustee also and on the board of Free to Be Church. Sure, so we're in the second day of the proceedings. Yesterday afternoon, they began with their opening. That was our case, and they've concluded that, or almost concluded this morning. And the lawyers are basically going through a chronology of what happened as of October last year and the decisions that the government made, and trying to sort of lay out the picture and make a clear argument that obviously our rights and our freedoms to gather and worship were overridden. The Bill of Rights was not considered. And so they're just working through that and laying out their argument in a very clinical way, but a very convincing way, I think, and just trying to make that point that there were disproportionate and unjust decisions made without the regard of our rights to worship.
Does the judge seem open and receptive to the arguments that you guys are presenting?
Well, that's a good question. First of all, we cannot read facial expressions because we're all wearing masks in court. There are little nods every now and then, and the judge is quite engaged. She asks questions, which our lawyers then obviously very aptly answer. So yeah, she's engaged, but obviously we don't know what the outcome of the case would be, and we trust our judicial system to run its course.
What are you hoping for as an outcome? What's the ideal situation for you?
Well, obviously the ideal situation, as we see it, would be a win of the case to such a degree where the judge declares that these decisions were made unjustly, disproportionately, and it wasn't taken into consideration that the government cannot determine what Christians should believe or how they should practice their faith, and that they would acknowledge that they were unreasonable. That would be the best outcome as far as the case get in. But we're really just, we're trusting God as Christians that the best outcome will be, and the fact that we're taking the stand is the most important thing as well.
Do you think that it's a positive thing that the likes such as the Grounded Kiwis and the NZ United group, which are the police and NZDF group that were mandated out, have had some positive outcomes when it comes to their cases? Do you think that's setting a good precedent when it comes to the judge hearing yours?
No, absolutely. And many of these cases that's already been run in New Zealand are being quoted, obviously, in our court case as well. So precedent is being set all over the place, and I think there's momentum in that sense that surely the High Court hears and sees that many of our citizens have been treated unfairly, and I hope, well, it's not only the New Zealand cases. Cases in Scotland are being quoted, in Canada are being quoted. So yeah, we hope that it does carry weight in court now for our case as well.
When it comes to religious freedoms, there's been a lot of talk about this recently in the media with Bethlehem College. Do you think it's fair what the media are trying to do to that school from a religious freedom standpoint?
Well, I mean, from what we've seen, it's obviously clear that there's underlying reasons why people don't like what is happening based on their views. When it comes to religious freedom and what we believe, again, that's the whole point. There's a freedom to believe what you believe and to practice your faith. And this is being pointed out in the court case here. What has happened specifically to those of us who are Christians in this situation is we've been put into a crisis of conscience, where what we believe and what is so important to us and what we feel is a duty for us to walk in and to obey, we're in a sense forced to act contrary to our conscience or walk into what is considered criminal activity.
Absolutely. I think it's a difficult situation, but it seems more and more that the media are siding in favour of not allowing religious freedom and not wanting there to be religious freedom. I know that when I spoke with one of you earlier, there was the messaging around the fact that no media has turned up to the Free to Be Church High Court case. Why do you think they aren't interested?
I don't know. One would think there must be some interest. Not that we seek the media to be here, not at all. We'll just be happy to go back to our churches and being able to meet without restrictions. But that is a significant case because it is the first time that the Bill of Rights, Article 15, is truly tested in court. So you would imagine that it is important to know that the right to express our freedom of religion is a concern for the wider population of New Zealand, because it applies to first of all, obviously for us as Christians, it's extremely important, but I would imagine even for other religions, this is an important thing to protect. So yeah, strange, but we've got Chantal Baker, and she's interviewing us. Good to have some true and honest media actually asking questions.
So it's interesting as well, because some of the reasons what we are presenting is almost dismissed or not really appreciated is that we're seen as a minority group. But that's a contradiction, because we know that in the rest of our country, there's a lot of emphasis made on the importance of minority groups and what they believe. So again, it's treated differently in this case.
It's interesting, isn't it, that term marginalised communities. And when you look at what the government has done to a specific community over the last 2 years, they've marginalised them to the 9th degree, but apparently that's okay.
Yeah, and just hearing, some of the arguments in our court case, it is clear that that rights have been breached in our country, and the hurt and the pain that it's caused, obviously in the church, but the wider community, is significant. And at one point it was said that it is profound, and I truly agree. It's been a profound. It had a profound effect on the whole of society. And if we, in our little corner where we are concerned for the church, if that can play a role to help the rest of our society to also benefit from the protection of our rights, I pray that God will use that so that we can be the beautiful, loving, caring, truly kind New Zealand that we are.
Yeah. And as the point was made today, rights are rights. And so even if one person is affected, then it should mean something, because that's what the Bill of Rights is there to protect.
Yeah. It's interesting that you don't see that kind of language when it comes to people of different medical opinions from the Human Rights Commission or the Privacy Commission. That is something that I found very interesting. And it seems like we need a much clearer separation of powers, because they seem like just one identity all morphed into the government, which is problematic when it comes to holding anybody accountable.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so if anyone wants to follow along the lawsuit, are they allowed, or the court case, are they allowed to register to view it? Is that still accepted?
As far as being in the public gallery, it's just open to anyone. I think there's 20 spaces. They're not full at the moment, but yeah, that's available for people. And as far as following along, sorry.
No, sorry for interrupting. I was just going to say, do they have a Zoom link or anything like that?
No, there's no Zoom link.
Okay, and when is it expected to end and you're expected to hear a result?
Well, the court case, so we're presenting our side of the argument now. Then the Crown can respond, or the government's lawyers will respond. Then we have an opportunity to respond to their response. And that is scheduled until Monday. When the judge will make her decision, we're not quite sure. It can take a day or it can take a few weeks.
Okay, well, we're looking forward to following along. We'll touch base again on Monday. And then when you do hear a result, we'd love to be kept in the loop. Thank you both so much for coming on and chatting with me. I really appreciate it.
No worries. People can follow along at freetoBechurch.nz, and our Facebook page will be giving some updates. So thank you so much, Chantal, for your time and all you do.
Awesome. Thanks.
Much appreciated. Thank you.